It's the Daily Talk Show episode 280. What are we? 83. Yeah. 283.
Do you ever have that, Jack, where you ask a question, get the answer, and then 2 seconds later you forget? Because we do it all the time. Mm. Is there something about live radio that does it, or like the pressure of performing, or what do you reckon?
I don't know. But last time you had me on a Milestone episode, and you were probably thinking that this will be episode 300 or 500 or 1,000 because I'm a Milestone player. But it's just a regular one. And you've actually, as you've gone to say it, you've thought 280. Well, can't be one of the small change episodes. That wouldn't be right. Yeah. Or else I wouldn't be looking at Jack
your Milestone mic technique, isn't there? Yeah.
Jack Post is back in the building.
Testing.
You're
1, 2, 3.
If you're watching, obviously.
Okay, start the episode again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Daily Talk Show. This is episode 282. I'm Jack Post.
It's 83, you fuckwit. So this is the thing.
Tommy, you do it. We couldn't get it right.
Let's just start the conversation. No, we're just. How are you guys feeling after eating all that food?
Yeah, I feel great.
You feel good?
Absolutely fine.
What we had to get to.
We planned to get Jack on the show, and he said, "Guys, I'm coming straight from work. I got to eat first." And what I appreciated about that is, he's a guy who knows himself well enough that he has to have a bit of food in his tum-tum.
Yeah. I'm always starving at this time of day, which is, do we say what time of day we record it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. I'm just still new to breakfast radio, only not even a year into it. And after we get off air, we go into a meeting for an hour or like half an hour or whatever. Post show. I'm starving all the way through. Yeah. I've tried to get energize people to go, should we go out for breakfast? Should we do this at breakfast? Should we have a small break so we can go and get something to eat? No one seems to care for that. So I know that at 11 I'm always starving. So thank you so much for lunch. That was very lovely.
We filmed a few people this week and they were in a corporate environment. And Josh asked the question to get the sound test, sound check, what did you have for breakfast? Everyone said nothing. And then I was like, well, what did you have for lunch then? Nothing. It's like there's a lot of people that just forget to eat.
That's how you got to make it in corporate Australia these days, huh?
That's what Josh said. Success. Well, this is what champions do.
I mean, they were like top executives in Australia.
I actually honestly feel like, well, I mean, this is not a revelation, but how linked food is to your productivity and to your brain working. So it definitely is.
Then what's your schedule? Because you're on the
Food Diary
show. I know this is the one. I think it has some purpose. You get up extremely early and you go and do the breakfast show.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I can't eat straight away, so the alarm clock goes up.
He's fussy as fuck.
No, you are sensitive. You are a bit like me, a bit like a baby. Do you know Bree psychologist said that to
you're like a baby?
I was being a bit of a baby in regards to something. I can't remember what it was. But I was just like, that sounds quite judgmental for a psychologist to say.
Well, I've never been regimented like I have before doing breakfast radio. So I now, just because you're so tired all the time, unless you try to combat it with, thinking ahead, going to sleep early, eating when you're meant to eat. So now I do wake up at 4:30, just have a tea that I put some oil in. Yeah. Because it's I think fat is
Tim
oil.
Ferriss.
Yeah, all right, Tim Ferriss.
So I put some oil and sometimes some butter, a bulletproof tea.
Oh,
like a black tea?
Yes, black tea, yes. Yeah. Then I always, the night before, make a smoothie that I'll drink during the show.
That's a good idea.
As I start to get hungry, that's better than having a bowl of cereal. Or
what about your co-host, Christian O'Connell? Or is that a fair term, co-host?
Yeah.
Is that how?
No, he's the top dog. He's main host. I'm little host.
I like to tell people that he's your co-host.
Yeah, sure. Who's actually interesting.
We're both co-hosts.
We're co-hosts.
We're co-hosts.
But obviously, we all know who the main one is. So I'm not going to say it, but we know who it is.
So Tommy knows who it is and I know who it is.
There's the anchor role of a show. And it's funny because this is something I guess you've been involved in a lot of these conversations, is working out roles of a show. And a lot of this work can be done prior to even starting, right? I remember in Shepparton, we try and work this shit out. So what kind of person are you in this show? What kind of person? We haven't even done any hours yet.
Yeah.
And so naturally Josh liked to open the show. And I actually had no care about it, which I think needs to be, because if I was like, I want to fucking open the show,
I actually think it's better to be the person not doing the heavy lifting. So doing the nuts and bolts, which is kind of boring stuff.
Admin
no one's
guy.
clapping their hands at that.
It's true.
But you get to then come on and go like, this happened to me, this happened to me. And you're like, oh yeah, but we've got to read the sponsor notes.
A lot of sponsors today we've got to cover.
Yeah, because then the logistics get blamed on the anchor, right?
Yeah.
I like being in control, so it works well for me.
You
I'm
control
sort
some
of
stuff there with the
pressing-
buttons.
Yeah, so I get to press some buttons sometimes. I turned off Mr. 97's microphone just before, just because we don't need him yet.
While we're doing food diary, Christian O'Connell, what's his food?
He
meal
does.
prep?
Good question. He's always got something in Tupperware. I don't know, like a rice or a pasta. I've not ventured into that yet. Like take leftovers in and eat them for breakfast. I don't like the idea of eating a dinner food for breakfast.
Yeah, are you a leftovers guy though?
No. And I'll tell you, I've only just started to become one because I'm always hungry.
I thought you were going to say because you've got a mortgage. That's about right.
too. But I used to never eat leftovers, even the stuff that people say is the best type of leftovers, pizza and what are the other famous ones like that?
Spag bowl, things that are soaking in like juices.
Curries?
Curry. I love a good leftover.
I could do a leftover, but I'm not much of a leftover guy either.
I'm only just starting to be. And it was partly because actually this renovation, you talk about the mortgage, we got this new special oven that does like, if you reheat it in the oven rather than the microwave, it's meant to taste better. So I'm now reheating leftovers in the oven.
Yours steams as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a steam oven, yeah.
God, that mortgage is real.
No, I think meal prep, meal prep. I think it's actually just a glorified way of saying lots of leftovers.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you got to change your thinking from leftovers to meal prep, because a meal prep is you don't even eat the meal at the time. Yeah. So if you're not eating leftovers, you prepare the whole meal and you would throw the whole thing away.
I think it fits nicely into the guy who wears the same thing every single day. It's the same school of thought, right? Less thought about it. You've got your meals out for the week and you just...
The boiled egg thing has been a game changer for me.
What's that?
Boiled eggs.
It just for breakfast.
Just eating.
It's a weird statement.
No. I mean, I thought there was more to it. Like a boiled egg and a blah blah blah.
No, that's
breakfast.
it. No, literally, like I'm not much of a scramble guy. Did a lot of scrambled eggs when I was growing up. It was mainly making omelets, but just not being able to nail them. But yeah, just having a couple of boiled eggs and eating them.
I don't mind boiled eggs, and it's because you know what, you might be similar to me in this regard.
Two big babies.
It's sounding like two big babies. Don't like leftovers. Love boiled eggs
Because it's easy on our teeth.
Num nums.
No, I don't. Sometimes I'm not eating just to have the best taste in the world. Whereas Bianca, my wife, loves to like try and get every bit of taste out of a meal. Whereas I'm sometimes just eating for the fact you got to eat. So that's why boiled eggs is easy, because it's easy to do, easy down.
This is only just I have been in the school of thought of not even eating for taste, eating for emotion. And so now going from eating for emotion to like, there is something about the boiled eggs where it's like, feels like I'm having not saline. What's the drink that everyone has that's got all the stuff that you need?
90 Sevs?
Electrolytes.
Doesn't he jump in?
90 Sevs.
When you need to
Do you know what that was called?
Give me more details.
It's Soylent. There you go.
Soylent. Never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Have you?
It honestly sounds like
Look
soil
up,
of bed.
Look up Soylent. Get
if
back
you're
to us.
peeing the bed, take Soylent.
No, so Soylent is actually, it's big Soylent, created by like an engineer, I think in sort of the tech space, who realized he hated eating. And so he created this mix
This
of
is what I need.
all of the things you need into a drink, and you get it as a powder and you mix it up. I remember the guy who I stayed with in San Francisco at his Airbnb, he was right into Soylent.
See, I would like that, because sometimes, even though I like obviously having a meal from time to time, it's just speed and can't be bothered making a whole meal. That I would love that.
The one bit missing is he's now dead, that guy, from the Soylent.
No, it's actually it is very, very good.
Sevs,
Mr. 90 Sevs, have you found anything about it or no?
No, it's just a meal replacement in a drink format.
Oh, geez, that's not how you market
That's
it.
literally it.
it's just.
So you can buy specific brands. I think some do better ones. There's probably ones that have like a bit of chocolate flavor or something.
It's the shortcut though. It is the equivalent of someone just saying, "Can I take a pill to health?"
Yeah.
It doesn't work in the long period of time. I think shakes like greens powders and stuff's great.
Oh, you're a greens powders guy. I feel like you.
I do. Well, I go try this smoothie I make for the morning. I put everything that possibly could be considered healthy into it.
Really?
Greens powders, the Vita greens, protein powder,
Peanut butter?
mushroom powder, peanut butter, almond butter, nut butter, Brazilian butter.
Gee.
I wonder if Hamish Blake would be able to have it with the mushroom powder, because he fucking hates mushrooms.
Yeah, mushroom powder just tastes like dirt, really.
But do you think you could hide it in there? Because he described it once as if you have mushrooms on a plate, if you were to move the mushrooms off the plate, just get rid of the mushrooms, it would be the equivalent of someone having dog shit on a plate and then moving the dog shit and expecting you to eat
mushrooms
it.
aren't that bad. Come on, Hamish.
No, he's saying, but for someone who doesn't like a food, like I would be the same with olives. If there was olives all over a pizza, then you pick them off. I would still not
Really?
really
Yeah,
want
it's
it.
tarnished it.
So olive oil? Could you have
Olive oil I have, yeah.
Well, that doesn't taste like
It doesn't
pitted
taste
olives.
like olives.
Okay.
But some stronger olive oil does a little bit. Stuffed olives?
No, I don't even like is it martini that it comes with the olives?
Yeah.
I don't even like
This is
that.
the problem with me. I like everything.
Yeah.
So why are you obviously obsessed with meal preps or meal plans?
I'm not
at the moment.
I've got a child and I fuck all time on my hands.
So we
It
don't,
helps,
so we
like-
are the children.
like I was saying to Josh the other week, like think about maybe you had a household growing up like this. Dad would do the shopping, a bulk shop, like spend $150. And I always was like, for most of my life, looking at people at the supermarkets, fuck, there's a lot of shit there. How you do it? Like I'm always getting the $30 shop or 20, just getting little bits and bobs.
Yeah, I have never done a cart load of shopping.
Yeah.
Where you get a shopping trolley and fill it up to the brim.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
I've only done hand basket.
We do on Sundays a lot of the time $140 shops. It seems to be a cap. $140 and we can get most of our week, pretty much all of our week, except for blowouts.
Yeah.
I did that at Costco once, but it was
That's a year.
But it was
that's bomb
filling up,
shelter
like,
fucking
You get a lot of boiled
supplies.
eggs at Costco.
a lot of dumb shit. It's just like
Doesn't
Costco.
sound like you to buy irrelevant shit that you definitely don't need.
No, so I got, what did I get?
A coffin.
No, we got a
plasma TV.
No, a massive, the biggest fucking thing of popcorn, sweet popcorn in like a big tub.
Yeah.
We got like chocolate puddings. I've never
God.
heard of chocolate pudding. I think it's just chocolate yogurt.
No, it's more like a cake, isn't it?
No, it's not. I thought it would be cake, but it was more
It's
like
wet
gluggy.
mixture. Oh.
Yeah, it's real wet.
Like a yogo.
Yeah, exactly.
But real dense, more dense than a yoga.
And so I remember we ended up with so much of that sort of shit from Costco.
Yeah, let a baby free in a supermarket. They're gonna.
Do you know what I've realised? So my eyes, about my eyes twitching.
It's been
I don't know.
twitching. For
It's
months.
so it's been doing it for months, and it hasn't happened in a while. I think I'm on 2 coffees and this Coke no sugar.
Yeah.
And I think like, look at that,
Caffeine.
my eye there.
Well, we did it. What isn't it? Caffeine.
I can't say it twitching.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you drink coffee every day?
Yeah. I drink too many.
I see. I don't. Like, I'm trying not to drink it because even though I'm waking up early and need to be awake, but I just don't want to become desperate for it every day.
It's either that or you're trying to get through that cement of a drink you make every morning.
No, sometimes it is like
Gluggy.
yeah, very gluggy.
No, well, I fell into the Nescafe, just blend whatever it is.
When you were a
every
kid?
morning. No, when I was in Shep doing Brekkie
sure.
Radio.
Oh, right, because it's the one they have at the station.
Yeah, but then it becomes like the little comfort thing, about to go on Andy, little hot thing. Have you got a little comfort thing that you do? Like,
Yeah, I do tea, and then I do another tea when I get to the station, which is just mushroom on its own.
Mushroom
tea.
Mushroom tea. Oh, I'll tell you about where the mushrooms came from. I was looking for, this is Tim Ferriss inspired again,
Yeah.
but he talked about, or was this Joe Rogan, talk about a mushroom called lion's mane, which
Yeah.
Doesn't it increase your like sex drive?
No, I hope not. I was meant to.
Why
I thought
hope
it-
no? Because I'm going to be a fucking beast.
You don't want to present radio with a boner.
Yeah, okay, yeah, great.
But it was what I thought it was increase mental capabilities.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thinking quick.
yeah.
So I got that. I couldn't find it anywhere except for this one cellar in Australia in Byron Bay called Super Feast. And they...
It sounded like a credit.
No, well,
Yeah.
I only say because he sent me a whole lot of free stuff. So he said...
So it was a credit.
He said, hey, I'm...
Going to be on the Daily Talk Show.
No, I didn't say.
got-
I didn't say. This
What do
is-
they do?
this is
What's their
actually going
website?
out.
Yeah.
What is their website?
I don't know.
Mate,
Just
we've
search for
got
Super
a
Feast
rule,
on Instagram.
no pay, no say on this show. I don't know about you.
Well, what's this doing here?
Okay.
No, they're paying.
No, exactly. No, we definitely getting paid by Coca-Cola. Go on. Sorry.
So he sent me, he's like, lion's mane's good, but also try these. He sent me. Oh, also he wanted to get them to Hamish and Andy, so he said, try these. Give them out.
How
to
much
Hamish
free
and Andy.
shit have you gotten based on?
This is the
that
first.
It's going to go to Hamish and Andy.
First thing. Not
Really?
a lot. Well, I got this T-shirt for free. This got sent to me today as well.
What does it? What does it even say?
This is when I announced that I'm starting a band on Instagram. Starting a band, and I announced it on Instagram. It's not a band just for Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
It could be nowadays. That would be a very successful band.
actually,
Sounds
True, I
like a
don't know
really
where else we're
social
gonna be.
media savvy thing of you to do.
This guy from this band called the Canyoneros sent me a message and say, "Hey, I'm in a band too. Can I send you a T-shirt?"
Oh, that's nice.
So that's why. I got
and so
this.
now you're wearing it.
Yeah, I literally opened it before I came here.
Do you have a PO box?
No, I got it sent to the radio station because I didn't want him to know where I lived.
Dude, we have a friend. We have a friend in the States that did this competition and sent out something that he owned to this winner that entered the competition he was running. Anyway, the guy who received this prize from our friend took a photo of the prize and covered out his address. And then I looked and I zoomed in, and it was our mate's address on the other side.
From the
return
front.
address. Yeah, okay. So now you know where he lives.
Well, we knew where he lives. He's
our mate.
a friend of ours.
It's more all the other people.
Yeah.
So I think he might get a PO box.
Yeah.
But potentially.
People
yeah.
have definitely caught themselves out with that, like Instagram stories or like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then put like plane tickets and stuff up there, which you can still
the
get barcode
barcode
of.
and stuff.
Yeah.
The guy did it with the Conor McGregor fight versus Mayweather. There was all these hipsters like, yeah, we're so cool going to the event. He took it, zoomed in, cropped it in, printed it off, both sides, barcode, got in, all access to the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, I think somebody did it with grand final too.
Oh, that's
Really?
sick.
I saw on Twitter. Yeah, somebody put their tickets on Twitter.
So you just went to a fight the other week, didn't you? A UFC?
I went to my very first UFC fight on Sunday. Yeah, I know nothing about the sport. Do you guys know much about it?
Yeah, did you
Kicking and punching?
Yeah, everything. I mean, there's no rules. is there?
Ultimate Fighting Championship. Other than you can't
eye gouge.
can't elbow the back of the head, can't kick them in the nuts. You can't kick them when they're actually lying down. There's a bunch of rules, but essentially it used to be even more brutal, like headbutting and shit. You can't do that.
Oh yeah, that's out, is it?
Yeah.
Well,
but Matt Damon was there.
yeah, I saw
Yeah.
him, not not shaking hands, but
Yeah.
I saw him.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
You said,
What did you think of it? Like, because I feel like I went to a boxing match. It's very primal. It feels like, but I feel like one day maybe we look back and say, "Oh, like,
That's
can you
not
believe we went into these barbaric?"
Yeah, but do you think? Well, at least now we're going further the other way, which is UFC was banned and now it's not. Well, at least it was banned in Victoria and now it's not. So we're becoming more accustomed to it.
So did you get coming in as sort of like an outsider to the sport? Did you feel comfortable just going in and feel like?
I thought it would be more uncomfortable.
Oh, really?
I thought it would be what you see on highlights reels, which is like if you just see on sports highlights the UFC come up, you see a guy crack another guy across the jaw, his blood sprays across the
the best
crowd.
bits.
But in context, it's actually, you understand it a lot more, and I guess you tend to respect the sport aspect of it more because it's not as barbaric as it probably seems from the outside. It is like a lot of tactics and it is a sport, and it's not wall to wall aggression where you're trying to shield your eyes from violence.
the reality is, I'm not sure if someone's died from the UFC. Look up that Mr. 97. But there's been a dude who died from a fastball in cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's like it was a complete mistake, but it's amazing. Like these dudes are connecting with fists, like short, small pads. 5 people have died from UFC. Jesus.
And just one in cricket. So cricket is very safe.
From MMA, but the UFC franchise, I don't think so.
Okay. It seems like a high number.
Yeah. And so how's Matt Damon?
He's really
He's good. He's good. Well, it's amazing. Like I saw Chris Hemsworth sitting along the side with his wife, and it is. I did have that moment where I'm like, it's such a weird thing, just people sitting around watching people smash each other. It's very primitive, like old school.
It is, and I guess
Roman days.
Like there is an undeniable sense of, I guess,
Testosterone.
Like that Colosseum feel of like there's this big octagon in the middle of the room, and it's mostly blokes at Rod Laver, or from what I gathered on Sunday, and it's it's got that
Woof woof.
that testosterone we're here to see something.
Did you drink?
Yes, but I'm on Feb fast, so I didn't. But
Okay.
you can,
Nice.
yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tommy's doing a whole year of not drinking.
Yeah.
2019.
2019, no drinking.
What have you found hard about it?
Nothing. It's been the easiest. But I haven't had too many social events.
That's
As in
the
I
only
haven't
thing-
gone out.
Yeah, I think the only thing I worry about is you tend to not go out. Like if you're on the borderline of should I go to this or not? You're like, I'm not drinking, so I won't, which is probably a shame. But otherwise, I found it kind of easy.
Eat more. There is some mates like Conspiracy Jimmy who's in the building. You may not see him because he's that kind of guy. We would go out and sink piss and talk shit, and we just haven't done that.
Yeah.
And so that our friendship doesn't rely on that because we've got it beyond that, but that is a component of it. So I think there's that misses you eat more shit food if you are at an event because you're like, well, I can't be drinking.
Yeah, there is that thing of like wanting to have your hands doing something. You're used to at a party or at a pub to have a drink in your hand. And
The Coca-Cola credit, we got that in there. Holding it, Coke, no sugar. Are you a soft drink drinker at all?
no, and now I don't drink soft drinks, so I now just drink water or
Mushroom tea.
I drink mainly water, to be honest. But the thing is, the reason why I'm having Coke no sugar is because I realised that I think that having water, I felt like was an out to then be like eat other shit. I'm like, well, I'm not having any calories in my drink.
Well, it's like you want something a bit sweet.
Exactly. I'm going to move the mic one last time. Technical
okay.
From a technical.
where am I good here?
No, it's
testing.
You don't have to go that crazy in, but I adjusted it. I feel a lot of pressure during the show to be the technical guy.
You're the anchor, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
But usually a good anchor won't make the whole show about him, whereas you're like, funny anecdote, Tommy, just let me move your mic and test the levels. At 97, you're right over there. Can I play this one? Yeah,
Can you
good.
you just paid a laugh. You got to press the fader. How many fuck ups have you? What's the biggest fuck up you've had? Because you were Cacklin Jack on Hamish and Andy when they were doing their radio stuff. So you sort of would be behind.
I got told it was 15 grand's worth. I don't know if that's true, but I played a whole ad break during the show, which I'd already played. So at 4:20 I play one, and then at 4:40 I played the same one again. So the ads that were meant to get served didn't get served, and apparently that was a $15,000 mistake.
Who tells you that?
That was Dave Cameron, who was the
Grumpy Dave.
Who was Grumpy Dave? Who he might have been just trying to scare me. I don't know if that's their official figures, so don't quote me on that, please. Radio industry websites,
because they're gonna be quoting.
Well, last time I was on the show, they wrote an article about.
Yeah. Well, funny you say that because I was Googling you and it was the third
Well,
thing.
you don't know enough about me as a
Well, you couldn't find your Wikipedia because you don't have one.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that is my mission at the moment, to get on Wikipedia as a certified celebrity.
Isn't it great to be able? Isn't it great to have like certain personal anxieties or personal sort of issues, and then being able to put them out as a bit of shtick? Like you can sort of shtick is I need a Wikipedia. Everyone's but deep fucking down, you want that Wikipedia page.
Yeah, exactly what it is. You mask it as like, this would be funny. Imagine if I cared this much about getting a Wikipedia. And you actually do care a little bit about getting it. Yeah. So that just started because I actually tried to, on my own, honestly, and this was when I didn't want people to know I was trying to do it, make a fake email and make my own Wikipedia page for Jack Post. And they said I didn't have enough official references, which are like newspaper articles and the like, to go, we can verify this guy is a celebrity. The only ones I had were the radio industry type ones, which
they don't hold enough clout.
I guess not.
I guess
they said try put a few more references in.
Well, every time someone from fucking sales moves from Shepparton to
and they can't put them in Wikipedia.
Well, is this an arc on your show at the moment? This is like a
no. I don't get arcs, Tommy.
You don't get arcs?
No, I'm just I'm a sidekick only.
Okay,
but no, I mentioned
fiddle,
this.
I think is what we called you last time.
Fiddle. So I don't get any stories. Like I'm like a B plot on a Simpsons episode. There's one character getting the main plot. That's Christian. Then I might get a subplot.
So Christian is Homer. And do you know who it is? I know Christian is Mr. Burns. and you are the Smithers.
No.
Why not?
Do you think?
Well, because Smithers, I think, was pretty sure was in love with Mr. Burns.
Yeah, there's like a little bit about that.
That's okay. I've seen you over for dinner at the O'Connell residence.
You saw that?
Well, somehow, like, this is the thing. I don't even know. Maybe it was on your social media. It was like catching up with. Obviously, you're actually friends with Christian. So
over summer. So he was gone on holidays for a while. So we had them over for lunch at our place as like a. Well, we also wanted to show him the house because we've been working for 2 years on this renovation, and I complained about it all the time, and I said I couldn't do work for the show because I was renovating. So he had to see it in the flesh to know that it was real.
Do you remember the last YouTube video that I've ever done? Was you and I talking about crypto?
Oh, your Bitcoin.
Oh my God, I wish we could go back to that moment and instead of explaining how to buy Bitcoin, we said we'll sell Bitcoin because that would have been probably at the primo time to sell it.
You've still got your Bitcoin?
No, sold. It all went into the house essentially. Yeah, bit by bit. We got a bit of one left.
Bit by
Bitcoin by Bitcoin.
What was the lesson there? Any life lessons on the Bitcoin thing?
Probably
because you were a baller at one stage.
Got a bit greedy, yeah. So honestly, Hamish and Andy's radio show came to the end in 2017 as a full-time show. It's still a podcast. But I was getting towards that end of the year without having a job lined up for the next year. This is before I knew Christian was even coming, so I didn't know about the job I'm currently doing. And I honestly thought I'll be fine because I have Bitcoin. So I had enough to go like, I got a good cushion here.
Well, you weren't even talking about how many. I feel like you're probably more comfortable talking about how many you had. Because at the time, you were like, all right, I've got 7, but I'm not telling like anyone because if they know, but 7's probably worth what?
Seven's
worth, you got $20 in the back pocket.
I wouldn't even cover lunch today.
20 grand, 21 grand. What are they, 3 grand?
It's about 3 grand, but at their height, when my wife and I had, we had a bit more than 7 to be honest. Well, we had 7 Bitcoin, then we had some of the other cryptocurrencies.
7 was the number you were telling me.
Yeah. So we had 7 Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and then some other little ones. And we were like,
They sound cute, don't they?
Honestly, okay, I'll tell you this. This is embarrassing, especially because we know now that cryptocurrency isn't like the lucrative. It's not the money maker that I thought it was. I honestly had a page up on my browser for a while that was a list of countries to emigrate to where you don't pay tax for cryptocurrencies. We were going to move out of the country because we thought we had too much Bitcoin.
I actually follow a guy on YouTube called Nomad Capitalist, and he talks all about that stuff. It's like where to set up, like all these sort of...
about how to get out of the country.
Yeah, like tax havens or just like having multiple... Like he's like, if you invest for citizenship, like it's like citizenship through investment. There's a thing called that where it's like if you invest in a country, you can automatically get citizenship.
The US.
Yeah.
If you can inject enough money into the...
How much is enough?
I think it's like 500 grand, probably more.
And so the thing is there's Vanuatu has one. And I just remember watching this video. He's like, one of the great things about Vanuatu is that you can actually visit Russia without any visa. I was like, fuck, I need it. I've never been to Russia.
Because you are a loopholes guy, so you would love
I was like, fuck,
that.
how good would it be to visit Russia without having to go into just a different line, essentially.
We've got it good here, guys. You're going to the States middle of the year, you were saying?
Yes, yep. My wife's family lives in Miami, Florida. And
is it party? It's not?
You know what? Miami might be. They actually live in a place called Fort Lauderdale, which is a little bit north from Miami. And it's just like suburban life. It isn't a party in Tequila. And
is it GC, Gold Coast style in Australia?
Maybe Miami is like the actual like South Beach or wherever the famous spots are. But no, it's kind of just suburban. And then I'm holidaying with my in-laws. So it's not like we're going to nightclubs to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike if you're with all the boys.
Well, I'm not doing it now because I'm on Feb fast.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're going middle of the year. You were saying earlier about how you're getting over there.
Well, yes, Josh and I used to talk a lot about points, like another thing you love, like hacking and loophole. It was like this idea of it's kind of convoluted, so I won't go into it too much, but you buy points from one airline at a discounted price when they're having a sale, and you can use it to redeem awards flights on some other flights like Qantas or
first
United.
class. So you can get like first class that might normally cost $12,000 return, and you could get it for like $2,500.
So it's still more than an economy ticket, but like when you're
being
in
a
there,
baller,
you like you feel primo, and
Yeah.
I hate air travel because of like how uncomfortable I feel and I can't sleep.
Because we're both babies.
Yeah. Where are my boiled eggs? But in first class, you could yell that, and they'll
true.
actually bring them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we know about the points hacking, but then we got this other avenue at the moment, which is my wife's mum and dad own a real estate company who one of their clients was this guy called Mr. Ralph. And Mr. Ralph worked at United. I think he was even a pilot for many years. United is one of the big US airlines that flies into Melbourne and Sydney.
Famously dragged someone off a
Yes,
flight,
they dragged the doctor off the flight.
Yeah. Are they the Qantas of America?
American Airlines would be the Qantas because it's one world. United would be closer. They're Star Alliance.
Jetstar.
So they would not Jetstar.
No?
That'd be like a Virgin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he gets these for being a pilot for many years, and now he's retired. He's in his 80s. He gets all these flights or access to flights for a cheap price where he only pays the taxes. So now he runs this sly business with people he knows that he goes, I'll buy your flights, which cost me only the taxes. I'll charge a little bit for myself. So for $1,000, we can fly from Melbourne to LA in the first class.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Wouldn't it be amazing? They're like, you arrive and they shake your hand. Mr. Ralph, come into the cockpit. Come into the cockpit. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the pilots dies. Oh, there's a guy on here, Mr. Ralph. He can fly a plane. Mr. Ralph, come here.
Is that his legit name? Is that his legit name, do you think, Mr. Ralph?
I think his name's just Ralph. Bianca's
be
parents
telling us
are Spanish speaking as their first language, so Mr. Ralph might just be a funny way they say his name's just Ralph.
That's so good.
I don't know if he wants this, but you guys don't have a huge US audience.
No, it's actually where we've blown up.
Yeah.
Especially Fort Lauderdale.
14% of our listeners come from the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
But
I mean, if he hears that and I'm not allowed to speak about it, we'll just chop it out.
Well, Mr. Ralph, as if you're going to find him. I want his number. And so this is...
No, you just Google. I'm sure if I just Googled
You reckon
Mr.
we could
Ralph
find-
or no.
No, I think
You said
it's underground. Like he's not.
100%.
He doesn't have his own website. It's like, hey, Mr. Ralph's discount first class.
Wait, so is this what you've done for this latest flight?
This is what we're doing. Yeah.
Do you know what the savings are? Can you talk about it?
Wow, I don't know. Like $1,000. Well, it costs us $1,000 US. So what's that? Like 1,400,
yeah,
1,500 each.
And if that was 10%
return.
tax...
Wait, that's
so you're talking about what are the earnings for Mr. Ralph?
No. I
just
wanna-
what the original...
What our savings would be.
Yeah, what
I don't know.
Jack's
I don't know how much a flight costs.
But
on its own.
was that business or what's that?
Business. Well, they only have. They call it first class, but it's what
it's
we know as
business.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they only have. They don't have a business class and a first class. They only have the first.
This is amazing.
Economy.
So I'm the guy that doesn't want to do the work here. Like I want the easy access. I want Ralph in my life.
Yeah, Ralph
I
is
can't.
good.
The points thing for me is too much.
Yeah, he's not an unlimited resource. Like I'd love to suggest to all your listeners, like get in contact with me. I'll get onto Ralph and we'll all have the flights. Because even my mum tried to do it after we bought ours, and he was getting to the point where he's like, I'm doing too many at the moment. Let's wait a little bit. So mum wasn't able to get
What
it.
happens when Mr. Ralph sort of
Dies.
Oh,
Dies.
yes.
Yeah, so so I actually got the July flight booked and then one for November, which is the latest they have flights at the moment, I think, available.
Yeah.
And the idea is to move that one to 2020 when we want to fly again, because my mother-in-law is saying, hey, buy these Mr. Ralph flights while he's alive, because you never know. Because they've come over here on Mr. Ralph flights before, even though Bianca and I haven't used them. They've come here on Mr. Ralph flights, so she knows how good they are, and she's saying buy double the...
This is giving me tingles.
What, that you want to buy stuff now?
Yeah, but this is like the equivalent of me saying Amazon was doing free shipping and I ended up with a few $1,000 worth of
your own
books.
library.
Ralph's a hustler. He's
He is.
hustling.
But
to
I mean,
the
I guess
dying
if you're
day.
80 and you're on the way out, which I don't know if he is, but the way that my mother-in-law is speaking, he might be on his last legs, and we got to get as many flights
he
as
gives
possible.
zero fucks.
He doesn't care, because what does he care?
Have you started caring less as you got older?
Oh, definitely. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
How old are you now?
31.
That's the don't give a fuck age.
Yeah, I reckon.
Wait,
Probably.
what age do you? Because I think there is a pivotal point in most people where
When
it's
I
like
got rich on
feel good.
Bitcoin, I probably stopped caring what other people think.
And then you started really caring when you realised how deep you were with how much you've been flaunting it.
I think it's just natural. Like this guy I'm doing the band with, Mike, who I think you guys, Michael
Radio
Librale,
Mike, yeah.
he might be coming on the podcast, your podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out, Mark.
He started his own podcast. If anyone wants to hear it, it's called 20th
No pay, no say.
20th Century Boy.
Yeah, it's great.
But hanging out with someone who's only 24, it makes you realize like and I was the exact same as him at that age. You just care about shit so much, like what people think and like how it's going to be perceived. And it's so freeing to go, oh, you don't have to care about that.
Well, do you remember, like, that was when, that would have been the age that you and I, like, I would have been
Then we
like
started hanging
24.
out. Yeah.
And like, we were so worried about, especially memorization games. That was a big, do you remember?
Yeah, but we weren't worried about what other people thought about that.
No.
I think, did he bring up the memorization games the last podcast?
I don't know.
I'm going to go bring my laptop because for some reason.
We've got Mr. 97. He can just go close
Can you actually eject the hard drive from the laptop?
God, when the anchor.
No, Mr. 97, that's delete all. No.
It's actually not. Fuck, I have to. You want me to
password.
yell out my password?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll beep
Jack
it.
and I.
You can't beep
Jack
it.
and I. We can talk. You go over there.
I'm just going to do it.
He's
It's
just
going to
gonna
take
do
2
it.
seconds.
I think there's probably the.
Hey, Tommy, no admin person,
Oh,
man.
yeah, no, how good
What's
is
going on?
He actually was moving buttons, Josh. That actually gave me anxiety. He's loose. I'm sorry.
I don't know where we're sitting down.
The difference in the guy that actually is trying to get through his Wikipedia to the guy who is doing it as a joke. I'm totally that person. Like when you're starting out, I totally was trying to sort of, it's like fake it before you make it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to leverage these things like getting in social papers or something. I think there is a point
Yeah,
where there's
but
a lot of
it's
care
less
factor.
about like-
Josh is back.
I'm back, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I've mucked around with these. While Tommy and I talk, if you want to take care of that.
That's okay.
Admin
I've
guy.
got the big news to announce also that I just received an email that's actually important to the show.
Okay.
Wait,
Go on. No, you
had
go on.
time to go through
Yeah.
your emails over there.
He's the admin guy. He's going to fucking do the
It
admin.
happens quickly. Fucking move over a little bit.
I reckon it was. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
I reckon you still care about output. So when you're making stuff like you guys making this or like whatever you do, you still care for it to be good and to be well received. You just care less, I think, about worrying if I used to worry if how certain people would perceive something, maybe like how you, what are my parents going to think of this, or like what is like somebody I respect going to think of this, whereas you just sort of start.
Did you read Seth Godin's blog post this week? I think it was today, Josh.
No.
Well, we're recording this the day before, so it'd be amazing if it was today in real life.
Yeah, amazing. Well, he sent so many of the.
Am I not allowed to say that?
You've gone way too far.
It's Wednesday. I've said it.
I thought it was going to be the Mr. Ralph stuff that was going to pull this episode.
You've given the admin guy a heart attack.
My chest
Sorry,
hurts.
no,
but he
can cut
wrote
that out.
Can we explain now? We need to be really honest. We're doing this. So we
No,
did
cut it. Just cut it. Do you ever do
no
cuts?
editing, bro.
I would
fucking-
love for this to be the first.
no
edit in the
chance.
podcast.
We'll try. We never pre-record.
We never pre-record.
But we did this one. This one is we're going to have it. And you know what? As a treat, we'll put this out at 6. I was going to hold on to put this out at sort of 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Because Jack has lifted the lid. We'll put it out at 6 a.m. So you're getting an early show.
Yeah, I like that.
12:01.
I like that.
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
So Seth Godin was saying about how it can be dangerous.
This is a perfect place to edit
Tell-
straight in.
Yeah. So sharing your work in the early stages to get feedback on something. So it's like, say if 70% of most people will think it's not great, 30% will be supportive of it and be like, that's great, you know. And so there's a high probability of coming across one of those 70% people in the early stages, which then can cripple you actually putting the thing out.
Right, yeah.
And so maybe like you're saying you start caring less, but maybe you're just dialing in who you're talking to about stuff. You're caring less about the noise in the early days because you've got the people that you show. Like I can imagine you'd show Josh something before you just show some random guy at the office.
Right. And you stop worrying that you can't please everybody. You'll never make something that 100% of people like.
Yeah.
I had the impulse last night. Mum said, listen to the show.
Your mum did?
Yeah. That's what she said last night.
And she's one of the 70%,
Yeah,
so it's really hard for Josh to get that critical feedback.
But do you know what I said? Do you know the awesome impulse was normally I say, what did you think? And in that moment, I was just able to go, oh, cool.
That's good.
What's your
conversation?
What's your top 5 learnings?
No, because I feel like it is like I open myself too much. Like I'm like, oh, do I actually care in this moment? Is she gonna
constructive feedback from some people is not really going to help you if that's not who you're making the product for.
It's not for Mum. But so this
Someone's moving the table.
A lot of
can I just say on Share Your Work, you introduced me to a great book which is called Steal Like an Artist.
Yeah.
Who's the
Austin
dude?
Kleon.
Yeah, he's a great author.
And he did Show Your Work. Is it Show Your Work?
He did Show Your Work, which is a book that I'm just rereading again now, which is about all that. It's fantastic.
And when you say rereading, is this Audible?
No, it's such a fucking small.
No, I actually read
Yeah.
it like old school style, but I do a lot of audiobooks.
No, I know you've got Josh's password.
Oh,
as
no,
well.
I actually been meaning to ask you, like,
You want to
Can you
back?
fix it up?
Did you change your password?
Yeah.
I've also got Amy, my wife. She wants. She's like, I really want subtle art of not giving a fuck.
The interesting thing, I went onto my Audible account and I clicked on something to listen to it. It said, did you want to go to the same spot as iPhone 47? I've given it to that many people that it's an iPhone 47. Audible's going to shut me down soon.
I try to. Do you do this?
I'm the Mr. Ralph
I try to
of
listen
Audible.
to books that you don't. Like you've listened to already, so that I'm not interrupting your flow with a.
You don't know where I'm at though. I might be having a breakdown and be listening to Eckhart Tolle.
But wouldn't it show that you're halfway through?
Well, it just says would you like to go back to the certain spot?
I never mind.
But I do need that again. Although that's all right. I've started paying for some myself.
Probably
best for the
audience. Our mate Matt Diavella has just chimed in on our video from yesterday, which is recorded today. You fucking idiot.
No, edit that out.
No, I'm not editing.
There'll be now 2 edits in this podcast.
Matt says, so we were talking about Americanisms.
Yes.
If you are in a queue, you're lining up for a sporting event.
Is this a segue or did you just drop this from nowhere?
No, this is the email.
This is just from the
This is the
email.
admin guy.
This is what
he
you
can
got
do
over
what he
there.
wants.
Sorry.
He brings
Okay,
Do you do this every show with Christian? If Christian's talking, are you like, is this a segue? It sort of ruins
I thought this is still about what Tommy was talking about showing your work.
No, you get
Is
used
this
to
it?
this.
Okay.
Is this it? No, this is a hyperlink. If you
He's
know.
hyperlinking it.
Yeah, it's always just I beg your pardon.
Can you not?
Wrong one.
That's not the.
It was that one.
That cost us $15,000. Okay, that's royalty. That's music we have to pay a license for. That's cost us a lot of money.
Okay,
it's fine. No, so Americans. What are you looking at?
Can I actually just ask? This is like a Bluetooth button. Can you Bluetooth into audio?
Yeah, so we could. This is the Roadcaster. This is another credit integration. The Roadcaster allows you to connect your phone through Bluetooth up to the mixer, and we could bring in a call live.
Yeah.
Oh, do you do calls?
No, we don't at the moment, but we could do a bunch of stuff. So eventually, when we're less povo,
great.
we'll all
So
have
we've got a radio
headphones on.
studio in a little thing here.
I would love if you guys did calls and it's like,
Bring it in live.
Yeah, it could be.
Shout out to Julie. Oh, we've got Mr. Ralph on the line. What do you got going at the moment,
Do you reckon
Ralph?
do you reckon we could do a interview? Probably not. He's probably very underground. Would have to.
Yeah,
And he speaks Spanish, doesn't
he
he?
doesn't want people to know about the service, so
Okay.
he's not going to promote it.
Okay.
All right. So you were saying the Americanism.
So Americanism. If you're in a queue, if you're lining,
Sorry to interrupt one more time. Last time. Is this a special email you got over there, or is this just another email?
what does that mean?
Well, you said you went over there to
Yeah.
unplug the hard drive. You said, "Oh, I got a really special email for
I
the
just
show."
got a special email from the show because I was.
Is that this email or not?
Yeah, and so because
Okay,
I have sync on my phone, so I can see any of the emails that I get.
I just wanted to know if we were getting the special one or if we were getting.
No, this is a special,
No, fair enough.
No, this is a special one because we only just spoke about it.
Special email alert.
Oh, do you need some music?
So no music.
Special email time.
Do you know, Tommy probably thought that there was no one more annoying than me with the Roadcaster, and you've managed to prove it
I
wrong.
won't touch it again.
We need to actually work out some form of guard so that people
This
can't
is
be
the
playing.
equivalent of the chef cooking you dinner and you're in there playing with his knives. Oh, what does this do?
It'd be cool to have heaps of salt.
Yeah.
Oh,
You should add more salt to that. I actually enjoy watching this interaction.
Anyway, if you're queuing up for something,
So you're at Whole Foods.
can you explain it, TJ? How can you say it without saying the
So
words?
you're at Whole Foods. You've got all your groceries and there's about 17 gronks in front of you because it's Black Friday.
Yeah,
And
they're
everyone's
all-
getting some specials.
Yeah.
I'm going to be risky. I'm going to say they're all lining up.
Yeah.
Now, if you're referring to them, what are they doing?
Lining up or queuing?
And
Yeah.
what are they?
Where are they? Yeah.
What is it? What is the
Just spitball
Extrapolate.
phrases.
They're the line. Like, so I'll go to that line or that line. Is that what you mean?
you said go into that line?
No, go to that line.
Would you
go
say
to that
in
line.
the line? Like would you
Join
say,
that line?
You say,
We'll go to that line.
Okay, so once you're in there, someone says, what are you doing?
I'm just
I'm in line.
In line.
I'm in
Okay.
line. Yeah.
In the US, do they say in line?
I have no idea.
Well, you're Australian, but you are dating.
Yeah, but
dating,
I
you're married
Bianca
to.
say like, oh,
Have you heard
don't.
Americans say I'm on the line?
oh no, that would be jarring.
Yeah.
No, if Bianca said that, I would pick her up on and go
Yeah.
I'm
so
on the
I've
line.
heard multiple
Whoa.
times where people saying on the line.
on the line.
And so,
Oh, no.
but the funny thing is, Matt Diavella just said in the line, not on the line, and he's from Los Angeles.
Okay.
So maybe I made up that whole bit.
High chance of it. It's a good piece of
So
content.
that's from a previous episode. You started that conversation.
So that was from yesterday,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, you do the math there.
Yeah.
You do the math.
I mean, we already spoke on the show, before the show at Nando's about how the reason Tommy and I never, the reason he grabbed for the Roadcaster, the reason Tommy and I don't pre-record is because we're not smart enough to remember the thing that we said the day before.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What split of people watch this as a video and how many people are
We
listening
get
to
about
it?
10%, I reckon between 5 and 10% watch the video.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because I saw that because I went to touch the road and you said it for the audience, like
Yeah.
Jack is now touching the road.
Yeah.
That's because mostly it's just audio.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and when
I'm
he's
learning all
saying
the
road,
time.
it's not the ROAD. We're not doing this outside on a road.
No,
No, road has actually got like a funny O. And interestingly,
What is that called, that Norwegian?
it's like it looks like an umlaut sort of thing, but it's not an umlaut.
Yeah, no, it's like a strike through an O.
Do you know why they do that?
R-O-D.
So road, do you know where they're from?
No.
Australian brand. Fucking huge.
Oh, so they don't need that special O.
That's the thing. They put the special O because they want to look a bit more Euro. And so
Good
they did it
idea.
early on to try and
That, you know
get
what?
the-
It worked because you see it and all automatically you go like, oh yeah, it's some like Scandinavian brand. They probably know all about what's going on.
Dude,
in here.
Australia has some of the best,
Yeah.
or they are one of the leaders of audio out of the country, in the world. Like
Yeah,
so
and they
many
can't-
people around the world
The
use it.
interesting thing is they've actually like set up the factory so they can make them and stuff. So it's
They
quite
made-
cool.
it's
In
made
Australia.
here. Yeah, cool.
So that's quite cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So we got that credit. That was
What are
road.
we
Thanks
running
to
at?
thanks to road. You can see on the big thing here, 47 minutes.
How long does the
we're
podcast go?
doing an hour.
Oh, cool. Okay.
How does this feel compared to doing your small talk breaks? What are they on radio?
Yeah, 5 minutes and then go to a song.
Oh, Christian's pushing the boundaries. 5 minutes.
Actually,
short and sharp.
he does a long break, longer than Australians. We're used to, when we were starting radio, you get told to like 3 minutes, 4 minutes max.
Short and sharp, tight and bright.
He pushes some out to
Word
7
economy.
minutes.
Fucking hell, that's awesome. And so how does this feel? Like, I mean, you're an old fossil. You've been doing this for a long time. How does podcasting feel in comparison?
I like the talk at ends, like keep talking until you get bored.
Yeah.
He sort of stood up.
On that watching the video, Daily Talk Show.
He just stood up. Have you had to get used to, because I said to you before we were recording, I told you last week, I said, we film every episode now.
Yes.
So can you do the thing with your hair to make it curly?
Yeah, I found that funny. I actually told Bianca, I was like, Josh said something funny.
That's normally my shtick. My shtick is to tell people when I said something funny.
He told me actually while you were walking down the street from lunch, he told me about this joke. He told you about the Davis Cup guy. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I didn't find it funny. I got what he said.
I tell you what's even less funny is when he's telling you about a joke he told somebody else, and he's like, "Oh, I've got to find the message so I can get the wording right."
I was chasing it. Jack needed,
and I was in the toilet.
He needed to go to the toilet, so I was like, "Hey, I ended up improving. I'm like, I don't know the exact words, but I just said, the Davis Cup guy. Anyway, but did you find Tommy's laughing? It's like it's real.
It is real.
The filming element. What are the?
I like it. I like that you guys film it.
But what about the rules around going into doing Christian's show now, and I guess H&A with their podcast? Is it expected now that if you're on radio that you need to be ready to be filmed?
Yeah, because we got most studios now have the in-studio cameras which are fixed in position in the room, and you just always expect them to be rolling. But it's not like I do my hair. I mean, I was coming on here, so obviously I got dressed up for this, but usually I wouldn't.
Quickly,
bother.
shit, I got something on my T-shirt. Some guy sent this to me.
Yeah.
I'll just chuck this on.
Is this got to be the first time for a while that two backwards caps guys have
Absolutely,
been on
yeah.
podcast
A lot of the time there's two guys in black T-shirts. Now
White.
there's two guys with white T-shirts and two black backwards caps.
Joshy, are you still doing that thing where you only wear the same black T-shirt?
Yeah,
guy?
correct.
Yeah, you told me about that about a year and a half ago.
It's still going. Can you believe it? It's good. I've kept to it. I've done
a
a new order of T-shirts, so it's been a year or whatever. I'm sort of replacing them with freshies.
Oh, cool. Can I have some of the old ones?
Yeah.
I've already asked. No. He's got a whole bunch of the other stuff, the cool stuff that he used to own.
The Saturdays
He's
New
still
York
on.
Oh,
City.
you've gone through a few
Rebrands.
Saturdays. Yeah, you used to love that for a bit.
He tarnished their brand.
So your old YouTube channel, which was just you.
You trolling me.
No, well, I'm sure that it looked like you worked for Saturdays because you had Saturdays New York different top every episode.
I think I stopped wearing them based on your troll.
Yeah, so you know how I was talking about the 70% of people that will not like what you're doing?
Well, I liked what you were doing. I just noticed it was like, another Saturday. Oh, he's got so many Saturdays.
What are your specifics? What's your little quirks? Do you have I've got a deodorant that I wear, Mr. Pitts, which I really like.
It's because he says that when I use my spray on, it's going to give me asthma.
Isn't that a fair thing? If someone gives
but
you
I'm
asthma,
still waiting for you to have asthma because I haven't seen you have asthma yet.
But it's the
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I've got the puffer in one hand.
That's the equivalent. I just feel like it's the equivalent of rubbing peanut butter on someone who's allergic.
Nah. No chance.
Or
You're
peanut
not
butter.
allergic.
No.
Why have you not had asthma yet since I've been spraying it in this room?
I think
it's you're
irritating.
you're the
Go
what
on.
do you call it? The nut allergy guy, or the one with what's that? The thing
He chooses
gluten
articulate,
tolerant.
doesn't he?
Oh, yes.
You're the celiac that actually doesn't have celiac disease.
I feel like celiac people are less annoying because they're not saying, "Don't eat bread around me."
No, I think real celiacs
Really?
more laid back. I know one. I went to primary school with one and I bumped into her for the first time in years the other day, and she's saying, "Yeah, I'm a celiac." She's like, "Most people don't have it."
Yeah, I heard that. A lot of people are maybe a mild case
good
of gluten
diet.
intolerant.
Yeah.
It's a good bit.
Get it checked out.
Mr.
So we'll
97,
do
that's
a YouTube separate vid. Does Josh actually have asthma from these sprays?
But what's your go-to brands?
I'm not really. I know you love that kind of stuff, but I'm not like that where I got to always have the same deodorant each time I go to the supermarket to replace it. It's got to be the same wine.
You spent 5 minutes talking about this mushroom tea and exactly how you do it.
Are you the mushroom tea guy now?
Yeah. Well, I do like the mushroom tea. I don't know if it works, but it's like it's meant to be, ancient civilizations that drank it a lot in tea. Or, in ancient China, they would drink the tea. This guy goes over to China and gets the tea. I just like it. I like it.
Have you had matcha?
Yes, I've put some matcha in the smoothies, yes.
Dude, how big is that in the US?
I don't know if it's as big as what. Just because
What
you
does it
listen
do?
to
I actually
when
didn't
we
even
went
read the packaging on the matcha.
So matcha is actually using the whole leaf. So it's difficult from my understanding because they need to do a bunch of other stuff like the last couple of weeks of its life. It needs to be under shade or whatever. But it's actually ground down. It's a super bright green color. And it's used in like ceremonies and stuff in Japan. So you normally have like a little wooden whisk. I actually had, if I go to Instagram, if I went to my archived photos from like 2011, I was getting right into...
You bought a kilo?
Yeah, I didn't buy a kilo because it goes off quite quickly, but I got some and I got like a whisk and like a ceremonial bowl. So I was like fucking at work drinking out of ceremonial.
Josh is what you call, he is the early adopter of early adopters, isn't he?
Yeah.
Don't you think he's always on stuff before everybody? He was the first person to
On the
show
moon.
me Uber. Before when it was still a novelty and it was just private cars only.
I remember it cost me $30 to get from Port Melbourne to my Sin FM interview with you, with Leon. Sin FM, for people who don't know, is a community station. I've got a photo. I'll post it on the Daily Talk Show. I've got a photo of me in it's not of me, it's just a photo of a really luxe car.
Yeah.
And I asked him, can you put it on 97.7 or whatever.
90.7.
90.7, which is Sin.
And there was, back then, it was only luxury cars.
Only black car. It took 25 minutes for the car. I remember 25 minutes it took to get to me.
Yeah.
Which is quite
so like
crazy.
now we all know why Uber's good, because it takes 3 minutes and it's kind of
Mate,
cheap.
they're on to us. The 2 Ubers yesterday, 3 Ubers we caught yesterday. Well, I caught an extra one. I got stung on waiting fees.
What?
Yeah, did you not know about this?
No.
They've started
about
charging for waiting. So this is the thing, like the app sends you an auto response.
Yeah.
Hey, we're out the front. They don't call.
How much does that cost?
They fucking don't care because they're charging you.
That's kind of fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like they're on the clock.
Yeah, I
a little bit.
agree.
They're trying to make the extra cash. I mean, I am.
What are
I'm
you
complaining
doing
about
in here
19
that's so
cents.
important, running around spraying Josh with deodorant.
It's going to be
the other things.
He
you
actually
guys
even
do in here.
lights fucking deodorant sometimes. Real dangerous.
do- I
Like
could
he's
do
like
that
a
on
I
the
remember
teenager.
doing that as a teenager.
Yeah,
Getting friends over and then light a
Dude,
deodorant can.
old school.
Or fly spray.
Yeah.
Make a little flamethrower. That's
Yeah.
pretty dangerous.
No,
Mate,
it's very.
Lighters. I was obsessed with fire as a kid.
Yeah,
Obsessed.
the problem with
It's a
being
bit too real.
Yeah.
yeah,
Look,
I was
not the
obsessed.
weird type,
Yeah,
not the burn your house down type, but just
bit close.
well into flame.
The early adopter thing, it can't be too much of your identity though. Because I think, because the
Yeah,
problem
you
is
do love
there's a risk in just sounding like the told you so guy. Like even
But
with
you are like that. But I was going to bring up podcasting as an example. So Josh was one of the first people I knew here to have his own podcast. Then for a while he hated podcasting because it was so, everybody has a podcast now.
Yeah.
And now look at you.
Yeah.
Come full circle.
I know, but the thing is that it's hard to. Like, what do I look like from the outside? Does it just look like I'm this
You look like a
crusty-
guy in a black t-shirt.
No, but does it look a little bit like sour grapes? His podcast didn't do well, so he just
No.
because I only ever did I think 11 episodes.
Yeah, and he was interviewing people about how they got into their careers, and just by chance, because he worked at Fox FM, they all were employed by Fox. There's Phoebe Box, Jules Lund, Hamish and Andy.
Is it still? Are they still around?
Yeah, you can go to Josh Speaking and
I think the first adopter is always potentially the first out of it as well. Like that's what comes with it. It's almost the same gear on the other end. It's
Well,
like, it's been around, guys. Let's wind this up.
Do you think it's because, and you would know as an early adopter, you have some kind of connection to it because you were in first, and it's actually harder to use a product? Uber is a perfect example.
Yeah.
You're using it when it's not it doesn't actually improve your life because it's taking longer than a taxi. It's just as expensive. So you then feel like when everybody jumps on board, you're like, oh, well, I was doing this when it was hard.
Yeah.
And now you guys are jumping on when it's easy.
I think that part of it is that it becomes, at the beginning you see it as an opportunity. You see it as like no one else is doing it and that's the novelty in it. So and then when more and more people do it, like what is the real difference between podcasting and radio? It's like I guess we differentiate it based on format. We've come to say a podcast is long form, it's talk only. Radio has this type of structure. You have small talk breaks. You have a breakfast show that does X, Y, and Z, or a morning show in the States. And so, but those formats and stuff, I think, is eventually going to disintegrate. So the podcasting and radio, whatever it is just the delivery system. But it's going to get to a point where it's like you'll have stuff that sounds a lot like radio on podcasts, and there will be that, like the reason why it sounds different at the moment, podcasting, is because there's no super easy way to live stream. But when it turns into everyone can do their podcast through live streaming, what's the difference? If we could start taking calls and we can play music through a Spotify license, or Spotify can inject their music in, what's the difference going to be? Talent, maybe. Like at the start, I guess it's talent, because it's like to be able to think about how expensive it is to have a license within the radio context. You have to be a certain...
What's the difference between an early adopter and someone who's a visionary? Because I think you've been having some thoughts around podcasting, Josh, lately that I think are pretty on the money. Like with Spotify buying Gimlet Media for $200 million. I think they just bought, like, that's crazy. That's crazy money. And they said they're going to spend $500 million on podcast development. And so...
Well, actually, and you notice now all radio stations jumping on board podcasting and putting money and resources into podcasting separate from radio.
And I think it's really...
Which is weird because you can pay $900 less and get this and you're away and you can have the biggest podcast in the world.
And I guess the thing is that...
So where's all that money going? I'm asking. $500 million.
Well, I mean, I guess you're not paying a lot of ads.
Yeah. We've only done 4 today without integration.
But for people making their podcasts at home and stuff, whereas I guess what they're securing is when ad revenue comes into podcasts more than it is. I know podcasts obviously have ads, but when they figure out how to get more ad revenue in there, they want to own it all.
I think that what part of what I get upset with is hearing or being within radio and seeing how much they were dragging their heels and fucking dismissed
isn't
digital.
that any big, the big company's always going to take longer to move than the little guy.
But then I guess that part of it is like, because the thing is, it's like, they've got to do something now. All these big companies, it's like, it's good that they're doing something, but I can't help but feel not jaded, but sort of feel like that's actually where all of this is going isn't going to be in the big fuck off brands. I don't know.
One last question before we finish about early adopting. What are some things that you've jumped on board early that never made it through to the other side?
Foursquare.
Foursquare is that the one where you sign in?
Yeah, so Foursquare was checking in before Facebook did checking in.
Yeah.
And so I was and when you would check in at a bunch of places, you'd become the mayor of that place.
Yeah.
So
that sort of had some popularity, even though it wasn't a widespread social media.
I don't think it did too.
I got on Meerkat.
What's Meerkat?
Meerkat was like Periscope.
It's live. It's just live streaming.
Yeah. Actually,
Video.
the one that did the one that I laugh at is Gary V, who has done well. But do you know who Gary V is?
Is he the wine guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Gary V, I remember watching him in like 05.
Yeah.
Right?
Adopter.
And but seeing him now and seeing what are you laughing at, Toy? Because I just love it that he's on the early adopter.
He just says, because you said, I remember watching him in 05 and he looks at me as an early adopter. And I was like, it's so true. You dropped the...
Like he would have been not as famous then.
Oh, it was no one.
Yeah, it wasn't really doing it. And
mate,
so that's
clout went up, bro.
But that's the thing you hear now. He's actually in popular culture.
He's mainstream.
When I see on like driving past fucking Momentum Energy, they've got a billboard at the moment that says hustlers.
No.
And it like talks about hustlers. I'm like, actually that phrase, hustlers, hustling, whilst it's probably been around and all that sort of thing, the current, where we're seeing it right now, people like Gary V are in the top. But
so Gaza, he put all his chips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a good way. Do you know what I reckon? Can I tell you what my
Gary V put all his chips into this thing that was nothing.
Meerkat. Yeah.
He did Meerkat.
He did Meerkat.
I thought you were going to say the YouTube equivalent.
So he
moved all his content or something.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of stuff on. I've just gone blank. We spoke about it on the.
I mean, I guess that's good because weren't a lot of YouTube. Oh, I mean, you guys have both done a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Vidler was what it was.
They
called.
were
that's right.
like the cut that YouTube was taking from what they were paying the content creators was too much. So it would be cool if everyone could say, hey, we're moving over to this new one that pays everyone better. But the reality is it's really hard to shift everybody.
First to platform, there is something about, in some cases, but it's not the equation for success.
Yeah, you got to be like first or best. Well, that's why I didn't do a podcast after my last one for ages, because I'm like, I've missed the boat. Podcasting's done. And the reason why I came back, I think, was because I was like, oh, actually, you think about how successful radio shows that have happened in the last 15 years, it's not like radio started 15 years ago. Radio's been around for yonks, but it's about doing something different. But one of my predictions is this is what I think is going to happen. You know, how do you watch Joe Rogan?
Please.
Well, this is some music. There is a drum roll somewhere.
That's right, fine, you'll find it.
All right, that's an applause. You do.
Okay, I'm only hearing through the bleed of your headphones. All right, never mind. I said I wouldn't play with it anymore.
You managed to play more.
All right.
No, how do you watch Joe Rogan at the moment or consume Joe Rogan?
I podcast it. I know people just get the clips on YouTube. I listen to it. I probably don't often listen all the way through, just listen for about half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah. What I reckon is going to happen is, so for people who don't know, Joe Rogan is one of the biggest podcasters. He does long form interviews. He does live stream with video.
Yeah.
What I reckon will happen is I think YouTube will eventually allow content creators to, when they're doing a live stream, there'll be a checkbox which will be optimized for audio. And I can imagine YouTube being, how YouTube had YouTube Music, which I don't really think has been a massive thing. I can imagine there being a YouTube radio or YouTube audio version where you can live stream all these different shows. So you can subscribe to them all. It will create radio sort of playlists for you, integrate YouTube Music, and it will also have its video offering. So if you're watching something on a TV and then you get into your car, YouTube will know all that information and be able to context switch and give you audio when you're in there, video when you're there. What do you think? Do you think that could happen?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like you.
We're just 5 minutes over time, and I'm worried that people are getting bored.
Yeah.
That we can't end the show on that.
No, yeah, we can.
No, we can't.
Guys, that's all we have time for today.
No, that's literally, this is my shtick.
All right. I wanted to tell you guys talk about YouTube so much, I didn't even get to plug my band.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even get to talk about Wikipedia, which I wanted you guys to help me get on Wikipedia.
Yeah, so what's the latest on the Wikipedia stuff?
Do you guys edit Wikipedia?
No.
Apparently you get special privileges if you're already an editor. Because I wasn't an editor and I came in, they said, oh, well, we're going to have to review what you're putting up because we don't trust you. So I need somebody, 97, who edits Wikipedia.
I was hoping that he would. He hasn't.
He's savvy.
I need someone who does it a lot.
Yeah.
Would you be cut if I got one before you?
No, I'll be happy because maybe you could link to me and it would help me get it.
True.
No, I don't really care. Also, I'm making a band. We don't have a band name yet. I was going to play you a tiny bit of the music.
Where is it?
It's on my phone.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, can we just we'll play, this is the app.
Yeah, you'll play it for us. You don't have to, just play it for Tommy and I and then we'll insert the music.
I only want to play a second. No,
what?
Play
A second?
No, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's not released yet.
He doesn't want to give
This
us.
is a teaser.
Okay.
This is a teaser.
Huge.
Okay, ready?
Okay. Oh my God.
All right, 3, 2,
No name band.
1.
Blink-182 vibes.
Don't talk over the music. That's all you're
All
getting.
the small things.
It's not. It's original.
I like it. Was that you on the?
That's me on the guitar.
Oh, that's good fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
So when
great.
you have Mike Liberale,
Yeah.
he's the other guy.
He doesn't talk about his last name much on it. I think he did a whole bit on his podcast where he's like, oh, you're not going to know my last name.
Okay.
But we don't
know his
edit.
last name.
Yeah.
Between Mr. Ralph and this, you're not making any friends.
Yeah, this is ACA, exposés.
Yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
And so can you quickly update on Hamish and Andy for this year? You're doing the podcast? What's the deal?
Yeah, podcast comes back March Eve, February 28th.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And is there going to be any changes to the format or anything?
Yeah, long form podcast now where we interview people.
UFC fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of mushroom
Jordan
drinking
Peterson.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, fight
Neuroscience.
Hallucinogenics.
No, the same.
Are you a meditator?
No, I've tried in the past. I bet it. I believe that it has benefits, and I would love to experience those benefits, but I just couldn't get over that hurdle
Unless
yet.
it's in a powdered form for his shake in the morning. He doesn't want
Unless I can blend it, I'm not.
Are you going to do? And quickly, are you going to do live shows of the band? What's the
Don't
deal?
make me feel like I'm wrapping you up. I was only getting bored of that YouTube
Okay.
stuff.
Oh, I was bored of it
If you
too.
guys want to keep talking, I can. What's the question?
Fuck, I don't know. No, is the
I thought we were
live
going out
shows?
with the music, guys. To be honest, I'm bored now.
No, I'm not
fucking
bored.
over.
Guys, you're actually going to set it up, and people are going to think that they're bored. You sort of
But
create
you
it.
cut all this, don't you? How many?
No,
do you
absolutely. We have got no fucking time to edit.
Okay.
Live doing.
I thought that's what 97 did.
No, he just literally fucking slaps on the.
What do you do 97? Because
Oh my God. This is the first time that Jack has been able to throw that gear at someone outside of him. How many years did you get that shit?
Yeah, it's a good trick boy. I actually respect what you do.
but I don't know what you do.
So
Whatever it is, I
the band,
respect it.
the band.
97.
What's the deal?
I want us to play live. Yeah, we want to play live, but we're not even anywhere near that yet. We only, even though we started recording, so we're recording with a real music producer, which is the exciting bit. Except he's doing us a favour, so we can only do it when he's available.
Oh, okay.
So
And is
over
it
the
at
last
the
3
radio?
months, we've been there 3 times.
If it's just, is it Danny O'Grady?
No,
Is it-
so this is a music guy, not in a radio studio.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So it's like a legit, like big consoles and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's fun.
What's the
Yeah.
collaboration process been like?
With you're the music producer, or with
Yeah, and with Mike.
and I? Mike's great. He's fun. He's a funny guy, so he's funny to write with. It's like it's not a comedy band, but it's like silly, I guess. So, but it's not like punchlines.
Weird Al.
It's not Weird Al, no. All originals as well, except for the Blink-182 vibes in that song I played you. And then Yuri's great. He's done heaps and heaps of stuff in the past. He did a lot of TV stuff, like all your like full frontals and fast forwards,
sick.
and he did all the parodies on the Footy Show and stuff. I bet I'm not saying his best stuff. He did a lot of theme songs to shows we'd know, like We Can Be Heroes and
Chris Lilly.
actually I don't know if he did that.
Let's just say he did.
He's done a heap of shit that makes it seem like every cool Australian production he's done, but he's had his hands in a lot of stuff, and he's great to work with as well.
Have you thought about after radio, because you and I used to have conversations every year around like, I'm going to do this next. Like you've sort of got a heap of momentum at the moment with all the Christian O'Connell stuff and with H&A's podcast.
A Wikipedia coming out soon.
Yeah. But do you think about like Jack in 2015, but it's already being 2015. 2025.
This isn't that pre-recorded.
2025. Like, do you think about like, would you eventually like to live in your house in Melbourne, reading books?
Or the tax-free haven where you're living off your Bitcoin.
bounces back.
Yeah, I mean, what is the... What do you think?
I think we'll live in Melbourne. I just love it so much. For a while, I loved the idea of going to New York and trying to live in New York and see if we could make a life over there. But I think we really like it here. So even if I wasn't working on Christian's show, I would still, whatever I was doing, I think I would try and do it here.
Yeah. And what type of stuff do you consume? What sort of content outside of podcasting and stuff? What do you go to on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on audiobooks at the moment a lot, actually.
But he needs that password. I got you.
No, well, that's why I've gone my own.
So you start buying them yourself.
So what have I got at the moment?
What
I'm
apps have you got?
listening
Yelp. How often are you using Yelp? That's definitely one to go.
Yeah, I could probably. So this
20 other Meisner
Well,
houses.
is
we've just been-
Bill Bryson
you've
at
taken
home.
down.
It's called.
We just got sued for copyright there.
What is
bro.
that app?
This is an audiobook app that's like, so you can get audiobooks from other places. Because I tell you, Audible, this is my main 100% concern with them.
DRM.
No, you can't download from your phone the books. Like you can't search a book and buy it.
Okay.
Okay, well, fix that.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that obvious?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
got to
we-
like log on your computer to your Amazon account, buy it,
Yeah.
then send it to your phone.
What I appreciate is that whoever you always talk as if they're watching, which I appreciate. So if you are watching from Audible, please.
I'd only just been listening to the ones Josh had already done all the
Yeah,
legwork
I
for.
already did.
Is it all non-fiction though?
Yeah.
It's all How to Win
non-fiction.
Friends
Well,
and-
I'll tell you that I keep a list now of books that I've read, so that I can just, if I want to recommend them, I can go back to it. I'm going to go to it now. Tell you about the books I've read.
Oh, you need to do this, Josh. Get a quick list so you can just quickly search.
What do you have?
No, that's
Just
what
memory.
I can just Audible. I can look at Audible.
Oh,
and see.
yeah, that's another. You're buying so many books that aren't on Audible now.
Yeah.
So you're actually got a list.
Yeah.
Are we in like a Wi-Fi dead zone or something?
Yeah. Are you with?
Who are you with, mate?
Optus.
Yeah. That's
Mason?
why, yeah. It's Optus. Amazing.
The anti-phone ad. Are we fucking... Is this thing...
We've
Where are we?
defamed a lot of businesses today.
But we've also given some a free kick, thanks
Yeah.
again to coconut,
Yeah.
no sugar.
And Road, a brilliant Australian Australian company.
I'll try
Okay,
and remember.
yeah.
I read the over summer education. I can't remember the author's name, but it's her life story about growing up with her father was a Mormon, just a dedicated Mormon. He grew up. They all grew up really believing every word of God. It was really interesting,
Yeah.
and he was also turned out to be a bit of a psycho. I read Andre Agassi's biography, which Christian O'Connell recommended to me because I don't really care too much about tennis, but that
He went
was
pretty hard. He was
awesome.
on the ice.
Yeah, although he wasn't for probably as long as you think. Like it wasn't like that makes you think that like, oh, every time we saw him playing, I can't believe he was an ice addict. It was in between tournaments.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
He's partying.
Yeah. But his hair was always fake. So like he had a wig on for most of his early days when you see him with the mullet. That's a great book. And the opening chapter especially is awesome.
Do you only wear a mullet on a wig just to turn people
real
off?
peacocky.
Is that being like,
yeah, I
mate,
guess
if I had a wig, why would I have a mullet? Is that what it is?
That's a great point.
Throw him off the scent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could swear you have a mullet, but why would you get I could
wig.
swear you had a wig, but why would you get a mullet? So it must be real.
It's a good way of doing it.
Now I'm sus on everyone who has a mullet that they've got a wig on.
yeah, just put yank it next time you see a mullet, give it a yank.
And TV, are you a TV watcher?
Nah, only because we didn't have a TV for the last couple of months, and we just put it in while we just moved into our new place after we renovated, and I just haven't got back into the hang of it. Also, at the moment, we don't have anything to watch Netflix, so you got to do the thing where you plug your computer in and watch it onto the screen. Bianca's been watching, and I've seen a little bit of it, which I really liked, which was Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you heard of it?
No, I've heard of it.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. And it's about this lady in the 1950s who starts doing stand-up comedy. It's really
that
good.
sounds
It's
fun.
it's a scripted show, but it's really good.
Do you watch The Simpsons or anything? Mike on his podcast talks about his love for The Simpsons.
It'll always be my favorite show, but I haven't watched it for years.
And he adamantly refuses to be called Smithers.
I think it was a funny reference.
Yeah, I thought it was.
The Daily Talk Show, everyone. Hi, thedailytalkshow.com if you want to send us an email. That is Jack playing that music right now.
Levels okay there?
The level sounds fantastic.
Perfect.
Do you want to just do maybe a bit of a closer for us while I'll give you the headphones so you can really
There we go.
get the experience going. All right, go for it. And when you're ready, do the out.
Guys, this has been the Daily Talk Show with Josh Janssen, Tommy Jackett, and I'm your guest, Jack Post. Please like and subscribe at the bottom of the page if you've got any friends who would like to see the episode. We really love when you recommend us. And please, if you could give us a 5-star review on iTunes, it really goes a long way, and review it as well. It really helps the show. So thank you. Thank you to Mr. 97 on the buttons. Thanks to the guy who emailed Josh and with that great thing about the queue and lining up in America. And that's all we really got time for. So, guys, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Thanks.
as we always say, it's the Daily Talk Show.